What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse. Today, I'm joined by Gabe Einhorn, and he is somebody who is building where real estate, technology, media, and purpose all collide. At just 24 years old, Gabe is the founder of VryfID and Praise, where he's documenting the real journey of entrepreneurship while creating businesses designed to make an impact. And as you all know, we host this podcast for one simple reason: clarity beats noise. And I think showing up like Gabe does every single day on social media is a really unique way to build trust. And we all know that trust is the new currency in today's marketplace because there is no shortage of headlines, opinions, or predictions about commercial real estate. And I think what's missing in our industry is grounded market-specific insight from people actually doing the work on a regular basis. So super stoked to introduce Gabe here in just 1 second. And I always tell people we host this show for a few different reasons. One, to cut through national narratives. And number two is to explain what's actually happening on the ground. And number three, we're helping owners, investors, and operators make better decisions with real data and real context. And today we've got somebody who's doing that all over the United States. But before we get into Gabe's background, shout out to the team here at Midwest Commercial Real Estate Advisors. We're continuing to grow. I'm excited about the momentum. And, it's a really cool place to be, in a city, in a market that continues to have so much going on. And commercial real estate keeps me front and center with that. So shout out to everybody here on the team. Keep doing all the good work that you're doing. So Gabe is a 24-year-old founder, entrepreneur, content creator, like I mentioned, building at the intersection of real estate, technology, media, and faith-driven brands, which I also think is cool. We're going to touch on that today. He's the founder of VryfID, which is a platform focused on modernizing and securing real estate transactions, and the founder of Praise, a faith-based brand using clothing and content to inspire people and spread belief in God. And Gabe is known for documenting his journey publicly. He might be seen on the streets of New York City holding up a sign. And I just love those videos. But he's built a growing audience by sharing his lessons, his business insights, his faith, and the realities of building from the ground up. And he's passionate about community building, helping others people win, and creating meaningful impact through both businesses and purpose. We already got a ton of live viewers. So I always like to say before we get into the questions that I've got for Gabe, if you've got questions here, drop them in the chat. My team is monitoring them. I'm looking at them. We'll make sure to get over to them. But Gabe, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. Thank God. It's a full circle moment for me. I remember when I first started posting last December, about 60 months ago, and you were one of the main guys that I followed along as I started my journey. So it's been cool connecting with you, becoming friends, mentor, and now getting on the pod. So it's
absolutely
cool opportunity.
Well, it's been incredible to watch your journey, and I want to talk about that first because most 24-year-olds are still trying to figure out what lane they want to be in, and you are currently building in multiple lanes. So you got to tell me, man. I know you got an athletic background, but where's that drive come from?
Yeah, it comes from my dad, really. It's one of those things that you just grow up your whole life and you see somebody work so hard, but always have his priorities straight. For me, that was my dad. He wakes up at 4 a.m. every morning, goes to work, never complains, never says he's tired, never makes any excuses, but also never misses any important events, never missed any of my soccer games, never missed any dinners or school events, nothing. And it's like that balance where it's like you could have family and God as priorities, and still get all your duties done in order to provide for them without complaining and making any excuses. And for me, that's just somebody that I model after. And even if I work half as hard as he does, I know that I'll be way above the rest.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I had an indication that might have been a little bit of the inspiration for you and your drive. And, frankly, for me, it's my mom, right? And very similar, working two jobs, really putting food on the table, working hard, sacrificing and
Hmm.
sacrificing. And, that is a drive and a motivation and an inspiration that, I think never burns out, and it's something that you've watched and you've seen and you've been a part of. So glad to hear that. So excited to have you here today. When you look ahead a few years, man, what are you trying to build bigger than just a company? Because there's a lot of intentionality and there's a lot of purpose behind what you're doing. We've got another a building project that you've got going, right? And
Yeah.
there's a purpose behind that. So it seems like you're very intentional and I watch your, day in the life videos, grinding it out. This guy does legs, everybody. So if you want to just
Yes,
not
sir.
even just pumping in curls, he's actually doing stiff legged deadlifts and lunges, man. He just loved them lunges. I don't know what's up with you.
I played soccer, so the lower body for me is for some reason a better half. I was actually in the gym yesterday morning, and I've been getting more comfortable meeting new people, even at the gym at 5 a.m. And there was a guy there who I see, pumping double the amount of me. And he asked if he could work in a set with me, and we were working the arms yesterday, and he was giving me some good advice because I gotta work my upper half right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was fun. But yeah, in regards to intentionality, yeah, I mean, it wasn't always like this. Obviously, I still have a long way to go, but just trying to put family and faith at the beginning, at the center and the forefront of what I do, I
Sure.
think is important. And finding ways that it's one thing that I've learned is that you can find God and you could serve God in anything that you do, as long as you have the mindset and the intention of that, right? It's like you don't have to just be sitting and meditating and praying all day to serve God, right? You could serve God through building a business because through
Mhm.
that business, you are going to impact others in a positive way. That's the mindset that I have. And it's like I have these goals of building my companies and inspiring others, showing people that you don't need permission to get started, showing them that you could do it at any age, in any situation, and doing that with God at the center, and that you could turn that into a service of God.
Yeah, well said, Gabe. Well said, man. Well, let's talk about, real estate right now and why real estate needs innovation and the fact that a lot of trust is being broken in these transactions. And we all know that real estate is known for being relationship driven, but slow to adopt change. So, I know you're affecting one of those solutions right now. We're going to get to VryfID just on the next slide here. But where do you think the biggest inefficiencies still exist today in this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think real estate is really behind in regards to technology. And as I've dived into the technology aspect of it after being more on the relational side of things as a broker and now diving into the technology side, I'm seeing that people are very stubborn and old school when it comes to real estate. They want to do handshake deals. They want to use their, 100-year-old systems
Mhm.
that they still have, and they just don't want to change. And I think that as the rest of the world is evolving, real estate is going to get left behind, and people are going to be spending a lot of time getting wasted. And then, therefore, that leads to people who are not in real estate being able to jump in and be like, I can scam these guys, I could pull fraud, I can pull these moves because I have technology, and these guys have no clue what they're even doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's rapidly changing. I think the speed of change that we are witnessing and living through with artificial intelligence, nobody really has a grasp on. We're living through it daily. I mean, I remember trying to get Chat GPT to create a graphic and it couldn't spell, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's very much different in that regards. But as that changes, the operators, the investors, the developers who adapt to those changing environments are going to be the ones who are winning, right? And I
Hmm.
mean, the problem is that we've got fraud, especially with artificial intelligence. One of the posts that put out, that I think went viral. Not most of yours do, but this one went viral. Is getting arrested, by a cop, right, in New
Yeah.
York City, and but the ability to falsify documentation now with artificial intelligence and having a very difficult time understanding what's real and what's not is very much rising, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's a huge thing that people have to really understand is there's so many pieces of technology at and technology is great when it's used for good, right? It's like, the Bible says that, it's not money that is the root of all evil. It's the love of it, right? So
Hmm.
it amplifies your intentions. And so if you have a purity of intention, then technology can be great. But if you have the idea that I'm going to use this to damage and falsify and cheat people out of things, then it's also, but you have that opportunity to do that. And so you got to be able to detect those things. And the folks who have those slow processes, that's either killing deals or it's causing a lot of cost and inefficiencies in their business. And so, obviously what we're going to kind of transition into now is your company, right? Give us the elevator pitch. What is VryfID, and why does the market need it right now?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So for all landlords, property managers, and brokers out there that are dealing with transactions, rentals initially, but eventually across the board, any transaction where number one, you're spending a lot of time trying to qualify and gather documents and understand if that person can actually afford what you're trying to sell to them. And number two, if you're facing any fraud, there has to be something that is put up front to verify that person direct from the source. Nowadays with AI, a 5-year-old can make a fake PDF that says that they have $5 million in the bank. So
Mm.
how are we still transacting based on asking people to email us over PDFs of their financial information and then relying on that to say, okay, this guy can now qualify what I'm going to now sell or lease to him. So our idea is to actually verify that information from the source and do it up front so that brokers or landlords get that information right away instead of wasting time, their precious time, which they only make money if they close deals. So that time is very important to them, and actually getting that verification up front, knowing if that person is 100% qualified for that deal.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible, man. What I will tell you is Crexy, CoStar, all listing platforms right now are experiencing something that has been posted on LinkedIn hundreds of times now, which is, hey, I'm interested in that listing that you have. Here's my Google Meet, or here's my Microsoft Teams. I need you to download this and come and join my meeting, right? And
Yeah.
that's fraud, right? I mean, what's happening is they are trying to take control of your computer. And so even on the listing platform site, I'd say 10-20% of the leads that we're paying for and are coming through are not verified.
It's
And not only if
crazy.
they're not verified, they're actually malicious,
Yeah.
right? And so CoStar, Crexy, Reotomy, wherever you're listing these real estate deals, maybe not Reotomy, but Revere, all these different platforms, take note. Like this is being spoken about in real time with all the folks who are working on these transactions, and something needs to be done about that, right? And so I want to know the reason. I want to know, like, why did you start here? Like, was there a moment? Was there a situation, a scenario that you said, man, that is a problem that I can solve, right? I mean, tell me that inflection point.
Yeah. I'll run you through the backstory. It's not directly from this, but I was in the debt world for the last 3 years as a broker doing commercial financing, and I wasted a lot of times with potential borrowers who just weren't legit. So right from there, I saw, okay, number one, that's a big problem is actually dealing with qualified people. Number two, I saw that deals are still going via email. People are asking for sensitive financial information to be sent back and forth via email through hundreds of email chains. There's no organization or security. And then this summer, going through the rental process in New York City with my brother, who is my co-founder and was part of the idea, was we saw that for renters too, there's no standard process to rent. Um, there's no secure way to send that information. Brokers, landlords are asking you to send information via email, and you have to apply through 3, 4, 5 different apartments, get all that information. You're wasting a lot of time, and your information might get in the wrong hands. So we said, hey, why don't we create a standard process for renters, a digital passport, something that they can store all that information and reuse it across applications, all securely and efficiently. And from there, we tested it out in the market, spoke to brokers and landlords, and they said, hey, great, if we have clients coming to us with all their documents organized, that would save us a lot of time. It would also tell us that they are really interested, they're motivated because they have that information ready to go.
Mm.
But the problem is it's still all PDFs of information. We need a better indicator of it being legit. So we said, hey, if we already have their information in a profile, why don't we get them pre-verified? So now we have pre-verified renters, pre-verified tenants showing up with that information ready and also 100% legit.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. And when you did your market research in regards to understanding what was out there in the marketplace, what did the competitive set look like out there?
Yeah, so in regards to helping the renters, for some reason, nobody's targeting the renters, right? Everybody sees the money with the property management systems, targeting the big guys. So nothing starts with that renter. So we saw already there that we're going to now flip the switch, right? We're going to target the renter. We're going to help the little guys. And from there, we saw that people are now starting to implement more verifications as fraud starts to become more rampant. But nobody's putting it up front, right? Yes,
Mm.
you have verifications, but if I'm going to spend a month of my time dealing with you back and forth, and then I'm only going to run verifications and checks at the closing table, well, now if you're fraud, I just wasted a month of my time.
Wow. Okay. So kind of flipping that on its head, almost verifying them up front to be able to say, hey, this can really help eliminate a lot of wasted time and resources, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All
Exactly.
right. Well, check out VryfID.com right here. We got it in the comments section. It's not hard to find Gabe anywhere all over the social media. He's got some great press releases as well that I was just looking at. Okay, let's transition over to, building a brand in public, because this is obviously, I have an MBA in sales and marketing, right? And this was back before social media. I'm 12
Yeah.
years your senior, my friend. So, but we didn't have social media necessarily the same way that it's used now. And you've documented your journey publicly. And why do you think sharing the process can be more powerful than only showing the wins out there, man? Because, dude, I mean, how many is it like 400 videos that you have put out every single day? I mean, come on, man. I'm consistent, but you are all over the place, posting consistently, sharing the ups and downs, the whole process. Why?
Yeah, so to start, I'm an extremist, and when I commit to something, I go all in, and
Amen.
I make myself crazy to not do it. If I committed to it, it's going to happen. So when I committed to posting on LinkedIn last December 2024, I said I'm going 12 months straight, no excuses. And what I did was, which a lot of people don't do when they post content, is they say, "Oh, I'm going to start posting," right? And then they'll post every couple of days. They won't stay consistent, and then they won't analyze and be honest with what works and what doesn't work. So after that first 3 months, which were really hard because I wasn't getting any traction, I had no voice, I had no audience. I looked at what was working, I analyzed it, and I doubled down on the few ones that were working. And I saw that those were the more real, vulnerable, emotional posts, the honest posts. That's what people wanted to see because they could relate to. Everybody's always using social media as a highlight reel to post about their successes, their wins, all the money and cars and fame that they have. But to post the honesty, that's what everybody faces every single day. So I decided, okay, that's working. And then when I decided to launch my company, I said, hey, people connect to me through the honesty and the realness. Why don't I build my company in public and show them so that they can feel it? And that would now allow them to feel connected and support the journey and relate to it as if they're walking with me side by side as I build a company. And that's what I decided to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, founders like yourself truly are kind of rewriting the playbook. I mean, instead of just building behind closed doors and launching with a press release, I mean, you're building in real time. You're sharing the wins, the failures, the lessons, all on social media to build that audience, right? And establish the credibility before a product is even fully formed. And,
Yeah.
I like to say this: your personal brand is your first pitch deck,
Yep.
right? And so, three things that I think you can take away from the way that you've approached this. Your content is creating leverage. One post is opening another door, which then that a cold email or a cold call never could. And number two, it's building that trust, that relationship with people. The reason that, I get asked this a lot, like, why have you been so active for the last 8 to 10 years? It's like, well, there's very few times that I walk into or show up for a meeting that if somebody is on LinkedIn or social media or in just the commercial real estate world in general, they haven't engaged with something that I have put out, right?
Yep.
Like, we put out all these episodes of podcasts of planning and zoning meetings so developers can know what's going on in the top 5 municipalities in Kansas City. Nobody else is doing that, right? Like
Yep.
the other part is, everybody is reading headlines and worried about everything in the world, and I understand that. We live in a 24/7 news cycle now, but the challenge is cutting through that noise. And so on my LinkedIn newsletter, like every month, I track 5 really core indicators of the commercial real estate market, and I give a heat map, a score. Here's the
Yep.
score compared to people love that stuff, right? And then if you want the map, I'll give it to you. Here's the downloadable, thing that you can go get. But this is the one that I've seen you be extremely successful with and utilize better than most, and that's personal brand open doors,
Yep.
right? I mean, from DMs to real life.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
us about this segment and how this has absolutely changed your business and changed your life, man.
Yes, sir. That's one of the best things that I did when I first started. And I started doing that when I had really no audience. And I said, hey, social media is cool, but meeting people in real life is next level. That's how you actually make a real relationship, a real connection. So I started reaching out to some of the biggest people that I knew in New York City that all it is a subway ride away to hop on and pull up to their office, and I started doing that. This week, yesterday, Tuesday, I've been posting every single Tuesday, was 49, so 49 weeks straight that I've met somebody that I cold DM'd on LinkedIn and met them in real life, and that's been one of the biggest things, shows the credibility and shows that, there's no question that I'm a real person. Sometimes you see people on social media and you're not sure how legit they are about what they say, if they back their word, stuff like that. I want there to be no question that I mean business and I am who I say I am. And that's one way that I've been able to prove that.
Yeah, you absolutely have. And I've also noticed this. Are you traveling a lot? It sure seems like you're all over the country, like Florida, New York City. I mean, where are you just on a plane all the time?
Yeah, it's going to start heating up even more because
Wow.
as I posted last week, we officially launched in Atlanta, Nashville, and Florida. So we're going to be on the move in the next couple weeks, couple months, because like I said, I believe in meeting people in real life. If I'm going to do business with you, if you're going to become a client of my product, I want to meet you in person and shake your hand, and understand eye to eye that I will take care of you and my services will take care of you. So that's what I've been doing the last 3, 4 months, is meeting these people, getting those initial relationships, and now it's about closing those deals and making them real clients. And I believe in meeting them in real life, even if that means hopping on a plane to do it.
Good for you. Good for you, man. All right. So let's transition into faith and discipline and consistency. We've talked a lot about the discipline, the consistency component, but faith is something that I think a lot of people believe in privately. You and I both share our faith very publicly, and you've been willing to build that publicly and even have a company called Praise interviewing professional athletes about this, right? And just
Yes, sir.
walking up to people and saying, "Do you believe in God?" Right? Like that's pretty impressive, my friend. I mean, why is that so important to you?
Yes, one strong belief that I have. I'm Jewish, and I grew up in a community in New Jersey. And as I've gotten into the business world and in New York City, I've seen that there's hundreds, millions, billions of different people, that you might meet and you might see in the world that come from different backgrounds. And you have to find a way to connect to them. And everybody has their own journey. Yes, people believe in different religions or different gods, but it's like everybody has their own journey. There's no one cookie cutter way to live life. But
Mm.
if you and I both believe in something greater than us, and we believe and follow that that is a morally correct way to live our lives, and that leads us to an elevated life in our own way, that's a way that we could connect. It shouldn't be a way that we fight and we argue because we don't believe in the exact same things. Because even you have people in the same religions that don't believe in the exact same things and are going to fight. So it's like you can find a way to fight about everything, or you can find a way to bring people together and connect through something. And my belief is that speaking to people from all different backgrounds and all different beliefs about God and about a higher power is a way to actually bring people together and see that they can find God in their own way and find a way to a more elevated and more meaningful life.
You know, a lot of people will say, we're becoming a more and more secular world. I'm curious in your perspective and your experience, though. I mean, you openly talk with people about their faiths and ask them questions live. It sure does seem like there is a kind of a turn back to like, hey, I lived that life for a bit, and it surely came back empty, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more and more young people, kind of thinking about the bigger picture and saying, you know what, I do want to learn more about God and trying to understand this, right? What's been your experience out there on the streets of New York City and the other cities? Because you will hear the headlines that say, you know, people are turning away and all these things. And I've kind of seen the opposite. I'm curious your perspective.
I've seen the opposite also. I think I started right when the boom was really happening. I mean, I
Yeah.
started last year and it was slow. I think, with the whole thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, and now you see
Mm,
all these athletes being outspoken about it. And obviously I speak to a lot of athletes about faith. And my idea with them is that they have such a big platform, and you have these younger kids that essentially worship these players that, they look up to them as a godly figure, their favorite football player, their favorite basketball player. And now you see that player talking about God. It's like, wait, he's not God. He believes in God. Like that's a change for these younger generations. And I think that all of that in the last 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, people are turning back to it because you realize that life is so empty without a higher power,
mm.
a higher purpose.
Yeah, most definitely is. You set out to accomplish all these goals, you hit them, and you just realize the goalpost just moved.
Yep, exactly.
You can only eat so much caviar, only drive so many Lambos, and only have so many houses before it just doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Like, hey, if that's your MO, go get it done. Prove it to yourself that you can get it done, but just know that the most successful always have a deeper why on that
Hmm.
front. And I love this quote that we put up here on the screen, that motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you going, but faith reminds you why it matters.
I love that.
And now, being a father of three, hopefully more children, it's more prevalent now than ever to see, oh man, they might not remember what I say on a regular basis, but if you ask any of my three children, well, maybe not my littlest, Magnolia, she's only 2.5, but if you ask my two oldest, what does daddy do? They're going to say a couple things. It's not going to be real estate. They're going to say a couple things. They're going to say, daddy works out every
Yes,
day.
sir. Yes, sir.
Daddy prays every single day.
Yes,
And
sir.
daddy goes to church every single day.
Yes, sir.
And that is what I want to be remembered by. And then they're like, well, what do you actually do in business? I say, well, daddy, transacts on big buildings, right? And they're like, oh, that's cool. They don't care. They're
Yeah.
watching what I do on a regular basis. And so we've implemented some things in our lives. Like every time that we get in the car, we say 3 to 5 different prayers, and we talk about what we're grateful for
Wow.
every single time. When I'm carpooling their friends around, every single time. And my children can recite more prayers than most of the people that the adults that go to church with their kids, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so I'll just say they're very well versed in that because I want that to be ingrained in them, right?
for
And it's
sure.
like, and it's also your choice, child, like, but you should choose the way that you think is the best, and we're showing you a way that we believe to be the best, and here are the results of that, right? And so I don't know, I just think that that's a really important lesson to be had, to be learned, and to be thought about.
For sure.
I will say, I don't want to get political on this at all, but I will say that faith can be used in the wrong way in business as well,
Of course.
and in politics.
Of
And
course.
I will just say that the current administration's policy in regards to justifying war is not one of those. Okay, and there's been some big back and forth with the leader of my church, the Catholic Church, in our administrations now. Do your own research on that. But I will say too, over the last 10 years, if somebody leads with it but's not acting it out, you need to be very wary of that. Okay,
Yeah.
because some folks are using it to disarm you, to try to build that commonality. And then you see the way that they act in business and how they treat people, and just make sure that those antennas are up as well. I'm sure you've seen that as well in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of It's more fraudsters out there that they put on a face and they act a certain way.
Maybe
Uh,
someday VryfID will be able to verify somebody's true intent in their hearts, right? If we're walking
yeah,
around 20, get this. I mean, if we're walking around 20 years from now, VryfID's got the best verification platform in the world for everything. They're walking around and there's a little score above their head, like
yeah.
believability score, right? Brought to you by VryfID, right? Like,
That would be insane. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that we see stuff like that in 20 years with the way technology is going. That would be crazy, and people would not be able to lie, and they'd be forced to be in either change their heart or be forced to be in a place where they truly belong.
wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah, we'd be living in a movie. I think there is a movie like that somewhere. But
Yeah. It's kind of
okay.
scary.
So, I want to wrap this up with my favorite, section, which is the quick tapes with Gabe. Man, let's go to your favorite book and podcast. What is your mode of learning and growing and things like that? And I've had people answer where, well, it's really just talking to people too. That's fine, but would love to hear a favorite book or podcast that you're tuning into.
Yeah, so I read this twice already. The book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. So that's obviously a game changer one, being in business and sometimes coming in as the younger guy. You don't have as much respect from people. How do you really get them to respect you and trust you and build that credibility and um, handle a real negotiation face to face with somebody that could be the age of your father? It's
Mm,
always an interesting situation to be in. So that's helped me out. And podcast is Gary Vee. I listen to his stuff all the time.
man,
And
man,
every
yeah.
morning that just gets me juiced up. He's just like, post the content. You don't need permission. Go do it. And every morning he's always right. So he's the
Yeah.
man.
Well, have you met Gary? I wouldn't be surprised if you have.
I met him briefly at Fanatics Fest over the
Okay.
summer. Eventually, I'm going to get my way into sitting down with him for at least 15 minutes for a podcast. We're going to make that happen in the near future.
I think that now I'm just having a realization. I think you might be the Gary V of commercial real estate.
That would be an honor to be called that.
Man, I've followed Gary Vee for a very long time. I mean, he wrote a book on emotional intelligence. Most people don't know this,
Yeah.
but he wrote a book on emotional intelligence, and it is one that I hand out quite a bit. I forget the name of it, but it was kind of a sideways to what, jab, jab, right hook, and all these
Yeah.
different books on social media. Then he comes out one with emotional intelligence. It's because he sees the AI slop. He saw it before it was even out there, right? The automation. And I got to say, if I look at any of your posts and any of the things that you're putting out there, you might use AI to ideate and help, think through things. But man, I don't see any of them long dashes in your post, my friend.
Yeah, people, I mean, it's too obvious now. Like people, if you haven't caught on to not putting those dashes in, I don't know where you're under a rock or something.
Oh man, I was coaching a guy last night. I was like, bro, you're doing a great job posting, but you got to get rid of them long dashes. And he's like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? I'm like, go look at your post, bro. Like there's these long dashes every 3 words. Do you even know how to write a long dash on a keyboard? I don't think so. All
Yeah.
right. So just be careful with the long dashes. Okay. So let's talk about what's one thing that people your age get right that older generations are underestimating.
Social media for sure. I mean, I've
Mm,
spoken to, especially in real estate, you got guys 50, 60, 70 years old guys, and they're just like, I don't get it and I don't want to get it. And okay, I get it. If your career's ending and you're done, fine, you do you. You live your life, you retire, whatever. But if you're still in business at 50, 60, 70 years old and you want to still keep getting business and take it to the next level, don't underestimate social media because
yeah.
it's a powerful tool.
Yeah. Okay. Coffee meeting with one person, dead or alive. Who is it?
Ooh, that's such a good one. Wow.
And maybe we'll give them a shout. If they're alive, we'll give them a shout out today. Send them the episode and say, hey, from DMs to cold, to in person, let's get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Vee, it's got to be
Yeah.
like if I got to sit down with him with a coffee, I have so many questions to ask him.
All right, Gary V, we're going to send this to you. We need
Yes,
you to
sir.
listen to this section right now. We have the Gary V of commercial real estate live on the show right now,
Let's
and he
go.
needs 15 minutes with you. He's just down the corner. I know I think he's out in.
He's by Hudson Yards. I know where his office is. I just, I can't get in there.
There you go. There you go. 100%. Okay. Gabe, point people in the right direction. They want to follow you. They want to learn more about Praise, VryfID, anything that you've got going on. Where should they head?
just look up Gabe Einhorn, and if I'm not showing up, then I'm doing a bad job. Gabe Einhorn, Einhorn. It should show up on every single platform, and if not, then find me and tell me I didn't show up, and I gotta improve my game.
Absolutely. Well, you're definitely showing up in a very intentional way, my friend. It's been awesome to see this journey for you. I support you. I am excited for you. Going to open up doors for you. Keep it up. Thank you for sharing some time with us here today.
Of course, brother. Thank you. And the presentation was very well done. So props to you and your team. This was the most well done podcast I've been on. I've been on already like 30 or 40 so far in the last like 6 months. So very well done, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, people love this interaction. You know, they love the ability to look at the slides. And, you know, what I will say is like Spotify now has the video sections, and people are watching video more on Spotify than people think. And so I'm trying to
Nice.
get ahead of that trend there as well. So if you're interested in investing, buying, selling, leasing commercial real estate in Kansas or Missouri, reach out to us at www.mwcreadvisors.com. We got you covered here in Kansas and Missouri. Make sure to check out Gabe Einhorn with all of his different companies all over social media. And, you know, check your DMs. He might have already slid in there if you're an influencer looking to get to you in person. So definitely check him out. Gabe, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse. We appreciate you being here, and God bless.